There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place is much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place, heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me.
It is another beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in the studios of ỌDADEƐ Radio, and we come into your homes, your offices, wherever you may be, with another educative, informative, and enlightening session of ỌDADEƐ Health Matters. Most of the time, anytime I begin this show, I often want to talk about our theme song, Heal the World, Make It a Better Place. I don't know, apart from it being a very lovely song by the pop star Michael Jackson, the message is also one that we need to continue to carry out to the world. So yes, heal the world, make it a better place for you, for me, and the entire human race. And that is why this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, exactly 2 p.m., we are in the studios of ỌDADEƐ Radio to make the world a beautiful place by informing, by educating, by enlightening you on everything health. So if you need anything health, this is the right place to be. You are currently listening to us live on our YouTube place at ỌDADEƐ Radio, live on Facebook at ỌDADEƐ Radio Ghana or at ỌDADEƐ Radio. You can also listen to us via our app, the Zeno FM app, which you can get from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. You are reminded ỌDADEƐ Health Matters. We like to interact with you and want to hear from you. Your comments, your suggestions, all the questions, you send them to us via WhatsApp number 02000 925. I'll take the number again, 02000 925. I'm really in a haste to introduce our guest, but before I do, just a bit of a background. So ỌDADEƐ Radio, ỌDADEƐ Health Matters, I should say, has been running for the past, I think, 2 years, and each and every Wednesday we come your way to educate, to inform, and to enlighten you on various health topics, to empower you so that you'll be able to make informed decisions regarding your health. And at the end of every session, if you've been an ardent follower of this show, what we often do is that we make a clarion call to policymakers, to implementers of policy, to civil society organizations, to individuals, to government, and to various people to play their part and to play their role in making Ghana a healthier, safer environment. Today we are blessed, we are privileged, we are honored to have one of the highest people within the healthcare sector in our studios. I must say this is very impressive. I was very glad and I was very excited when he gave us the nod that he's willing to come and then talk to us. He has worked through the various healthcare levels within the Ghanaian healthcare system, starting from the very lowest level all the way to the top. He's gone through it all, he's experienced it all, he's encountered all the challenges you can think about. Every challenge imaginable. He's gone through it and he's been able to surmount a lot of them. In all this, that he's gotten all this experience, he's decided not to keep it to himself, as is the stock in trade of many people. He decided to put this in writing. He's put it in a book, telling us about his experiences, his life, what it's been like for him to be able to have been able to conquer many of the challenges that came his way during this process of making Ghana a healthier space. I'm talking of no other person than the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. So today we've titled our discussion, The Good Doctor, a Doctor for the People. And I'm not talking about The Good Doctor, the medical show that is shown on TV and other places, where we have an autistic savant doctor doing all kinds of miraculous stuff. The doctor we have here is also doing all kinds of miraculous stuff, all kinds of great things, even with limited resources. And I'm talking about no other person than the esteemed Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu. Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu, you're welcome to ỌDADEƐ Health Matters.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's indeed a pleasure for me to be here. Yes, and I say good afternoon also to your listeners. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, we are honored and we are privileged to have you in the studios. This is a high school radio station, but we are doing everything possible because of our large audience size. We decided that it's important that we bring one of the big people when it comes to health in Ghana to come and then talk to us about his experiences, what he's been through, the challenges he's surmounted, and what he can do for up-and-coming health professionals so that we can all together make Ghana the place that we want it to be. So you're welcome once again.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure for me to be here.
We are really grateful you're here. How was your day? How was your Sunday?
Well, I mean, normal. I went to church in the morning, first service. I mean, we have two services, so I went to the first service, 7 o'clock, 9:30.
Right.
Then after that, I mean, we had a church council meeting. Then I went home and prepared, and then I came here.
Right.
Yes.
I'm informed you're a deacon.
Yes, I'm a deacon in the Pokwase Gateway Sanctuary International Central Gospel Church.
Gateway Sanctuary of the International Central Gospel Church
at
Pokwase.
Yeah.
Right. He's a deacon, so there's a man who is serving humanity and serving God as well. The fact that you are serving humanity does not preclude you from serving God, right? So he's been able to balance both. He's a deacon, he's a medical doctor, he's the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. So today we're going to be talking about a doctor for the people. We will go into your life so that we can learn some of the lessons that helped you go through all that you went through and be able to come out with some of the successes that you came out with. So I would want us to begin. I mean, when the word of God came regarding your birth, I'm very interested about that, about the birth of Master Anthony at the time.
Okay.
When was this? Where was this?
Yeah, thank you very much. I was born on 23rd January 1965. I was born in Accra, in basically Adabraka. Yes, but virtually I was born in Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Oh, okay.
My dad is Mr. Anthony Ofosu. He used to work with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the Crops Research Institute, as a research officer. He's now gone on pension.
Right.
And my mom, who is late now, I mean, Madam Janet Hilda Nyama was, I mean, also working at CSIR, but then she later on became a businesswoman. She passed on last year. So I was born there in Adabraka, I mean, near the dance bar. They used to call it dance bar then. Yeah. But then we moved to Latibiokoshi when I was a bit. But then before then, I was sent to my grandfather. That was when my dad was doing his masters. So I went to live with my grandfather and my grandmother in Asempani. It's near Squo area called Praso, those environs. So I lived there with my grandfather and my grandmom for, let's say, 2 years.
Right. How old were you then?
I think I was 3 years.
Okay,
that
must have been very early.
Those are vivid memories. I remember them so well. I mean, very vivid memories. I mean, of that period, that short period that I was there. Of course, I was pampered a lot. You know the way grandmothers.
Right.
Yeah. So my father came and took me. They thought, I mean, I was going to stay with them. Maybe I would have ended up like, I mean, maybe a farmer or a palm or a tapper or something. Yeah, so they brought me back to Accra. We lived at Latibiokoshi.
Right.
Yeah, Blacksmith area.
Okay.
So I'm a Latibiokoshi area boy. And I mean, I went to Major Zapi Preparatory School.
Right.
Yeah, the neighborhood. I mean, with Latibiokoshi, I mean, neighborhood at that time was one of the good residential areas. But then when you go across the street, some few, then you enter the Zabon Zongo, which is also, I mean, that was a slum area. So I played in both sides. And I think it made me really relate well with people. So I relate with my plush guys in the Latibiokoshi area. And then across the street in the Zongo area also, I had friends in the Zongo area. So I think that helped me to really understand how to mix with people and interact in that setting. Yes. And I mean, I used to read a lot when I was a kid. I mean, I used to read a lot when I was a kid. So that was my favorite pastime. Just reading. I would just go to the library after school. I actually used to walk from Latebiokoshi to Kanishi Library.
Right.
And then later on, I used to walk from Latebiokoshi to British Council Library.
Wow.
Yeah, I just go and take them. I mean, and nowadays when I look at the distance, then say, wow, I used to do this walking. Yeah, but at that time, it was just fun. I mean, then I'll come and, of course, play soccer with my friends. Yeah, I mean, then after school, right from 4 o'clock when I know my dad was coming back, then I'll immediately run to the house and have my bath and then take my book and read my book. Yes, I mean, so that was, I mean.
I mean, the area you're describing, I know it pretty well. I even have friends who stay around. Majorda, I know the school is still functioning pretty well. Okay. And if you still go across the road, the slum still exists.
Yeah, there's Abonzongo.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm interested in knowing how someone who was relating with people in Zabonzongo, who generally it is a well-known fact that education is not something that is often seen as very important within such communities. Of course, that is gradually changing, and it's actually changed to a big extent. How were you able to, go there and play, let's say, were you playing video games or watching movies or anything like that?
At that time, there was no video games. I mean, at that time, we didn't have video games.
Right.
Video games are just, we used to play actual football on the streets.
Right.
Gutter to gutter, Fortuna, a small post. I mean, so yes, and in the Zabonzongo, they have quite a lot of very good footballers there. So then we'll do area,
this
ball.
Area with that area.
Yeah, this area versus this area, we play.
Right.
I mean, yes, and then other things. So, yes, and then also the cinema. Okay. That was later on in my life. I mean, that was when I grew up a bit, in my teenage years.
Okay.
There was a cinema in Zabonzongo called Gaskia.
Wow.
And I mean,
you remember your times.
Yeah, Gaskia. I used to love going. I liked the Chinese movies and the Indian movies. The Indian movies was Fridays.
Okay.
So yes, I mean, I used to go there to Gaskia to watch movies. Yes, I mean, in the Zongo area.
Right.
And I still remember the experience. Just near the cinema was a public toilet.
Wow.
So when you are in, sometimes when the place get full, when like the movie is really good and the place get full, then those who didn't get in will hurl missiles, fecal missiles into the hall.
What was the end goal? To get you to come out so they can
No, because they were annoying.
Okay.
Just to make you people inside uncomfortable.
Right,
so they'll hurl it into, yes.
If they can't enjoy it, then you must not enjoy it either.
Yes. And I remember, you can smell the sweat, the popcorn, the coke. It was an experience. So, yes, I used to watch a lot of Chinese movies, Snake in Monkey's Shadow.
Wow.
Those. And then the Indian movies. I love the Indian movies also that I used to on Fridays. Yes, so that's when I frequent, Zabonzongo.
Right,
yes.
right. Those are some core memories. Do you still are you still in touch with some of the kids who grew up?
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. It's more of the Latebiokoshi end that I still keep in touch with some of them. Yes, but the Zongo area. I've lost touch. One of my very good friends was called Alasan Abdullah.
Right.
I remember the name very well. I've lost touch. I think he went to Kano. Yes, I think he moved to Kano also.
Right.
So Alasan and his brother Fusaini. Yes, I used to, because they were just across the street. So I used to even go to their home.
Right.
Yes, so I flow very easily across the social spectrums.
Right. Those are some core memories. Did you by any chance learn Hausa? Hausa. Did you learn?
No, unfortunately I didn't, because we're all speaking Ga.
Oh, okay.
We're all speaking Ga. Okay. So that's one of my saddest things that I could have learned Hausa. Yes, I could have.
Well, that's not your fault. You're typically Ga community.
Now Bukashi. That's all I remember. Now Bukashi.
Right. Those are some core memories. Are there any lessons you picked up that you think may have had an influence on your life?
Yeah, I think that was I was alluding to, my ability to adapt.
Right.
Yes, my ability to adapt, because I'm from a middle class home.
Right.
Yeah, and then I move into slum areas. I mean, and I play with them. I go to their homes. So I go, and it's
and
still
on a daily basis.
Yes, on a daily basis.
Right,
I mean,
right.
so I think that's really have made me able to relate well with everybody.
Right.
I mean, yes.
Right.
So I'm very liberal when it comes to flowing with people. I mean, yes, and I think that's one of the advantages that I've gotten. I mean, in living in those environments.
Right.
Yes, and also, yeah, and then my experience also as a young person, although I was small then. I mean, the rural areas in the village, living with my grandfather, and also it's also shaped the way that I look at as a Sempanye. Or they used to call it a Tubi Krum because it was my great grandfather who founded the place.
Oh, okay.
My great grandfather founded the settlement, so my great grandfather was called a Tubi. So the place was called a Tubi Krum.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where I spent 2 years of my life. I remember very well, and also that makes me love some of the things that I love, like farming, greenery, and all that. Yeah, and then animals. I love animals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So why didn't you go into? Anyway, I think we'll talk about that later, right? As we go along. But since we are still in the space of family, right?
Yes.
Having worked, considering the place that you've worked in, it must have been difficult for your family, right? And I'm talking about your immediate family. So I want us to get to know them, the beautiful wife, the children, their names, because if they had not given you the time, the space, and the peace of mind to be able to work, you wouldn't have been able to do the things that you did. So we want to get to know them as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, my wife is Esther Sewa Ofusu. She's a trader. She runs a boutique.
Right.
And then I have 4 beautiful children. My first son, he was a doctor pharmacist.
Okay.
Dr. Kevin Ofusu.
Right.
He went to tech. I mean, yes, he's completed his house job now.
Right.
And then my second son is Clyde Budu Ofusu. He's in Legon, computer engineering, final year.
Okay.
And then my third is my daughter Karen Nyamo Ofusu. She's in the medical school level. I mean, MB2. Medical school MB2.
Okay.
And then my son Caleb Adefofosu, who is in Presec.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, Form 1.
Amazing.
Form 1
this Presec.
Yes.
Presbyterian boys.
Yes.
Amazing.
He decided against family tradition to come here.
He made the greatest and the wisest decision anyone could make.
We don't think so at home. We don't think so
Caleb,
at home.
right?
Caleb Adefofosu.
So Kevin, Clyde,
Karen
and Caleb.
Yes.
I want to say a very big thank you to you.
And then my wife Esther.
Madam Esther.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for not giving Daddy too much trouble, allowing him to be able to help Ghana attain the level that is attained with regards to health. God bless you all so much. Caleb, I'll definitely come and look for you, right? Yes, this current or that year, he made the right decision, going against what his father wanted him to do. Of course, that's not what we are advising and encouraging children to do, but it's one of the best decisions he made. Right. Okay, so since we just spoke about Caleb, who is currently in Presec, let's get to know about your high school. Which high school did you attend?
Yeah, I went to St. Peter's Secondary School.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it's one of the best secondary schools in Ghana. Yes, science. I mean, so I went to St. Peter's Form 1 to Form 5. Then the O level. I did my O level there. I did my A level there, and then I taught as a tutor there in sixth form service, national service.
Wow.
I was an O level. I taught O level chemistry. Form 4, Form 5, and then A-level practicals.
Right.
Chemistry.
Right.
Also. So I met.
So Pescobar through and through.
Yeah, thoroughbred. Pescobar.
I understand why you wanted Caleb to go to Pescobar.
Yes, all of them went except you.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Yeah, Kevin went, Clyde went.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And where did Karen go to?
Karen went to Wesley Girls.
Oh, okay. Amazing. I mean, the best girls' school that you can think about. Yeah. Although our sister school, Ebri Girls, is also massive. Yeah, it is a very good school. Right. So you were in St. Peter's. I think your motto is Dignitatis Hominum, right?
Yeah, the dignity of man.
The dignity of man. Impressive. A Pescobar through and through.
Yeah. With
his last child in Presbyterian Boys Secondary School. Right. What was the experience then?
Yeah, I mean, that was also a really formative because, I mean, of the discipline and the rigor of the training. I mean, most of the way I run my life is based on the training I had there. It's very regimented, very, very regimented. And I mean, at that time, the SVD fathers were and our headmaster was called, Father Glazel. Father Glazel was a real disciplinarian, I mean, and my learning habits were formed there. I mean, you have no choice than to study. I mean, so you learn how to learn, and the seniors will make you learn. I mean, so you learn how to do it. I mean, yeah, so I learned those things, and then also the discipline, doing the right things. And there are some things that I will never do, like walking on a lawn or something. I mean,
that brings back a memory when I was in Presec as well. I mean, my very first day, I did not know. I walked across the lawn. There's a term for it. We call it chaining the pavement, and I was punished. And to this day, I see pavements and I have to use them, even if there's a shortcut. So I mean, that's a core memory from locked right there. Do you engage in any extracurricular activities while in St. Peter's?
Yes, I used to. It was later on. I mean, I was a real bookworm.
Okay.
Form 1 to Form 5, I was real. I mean, just books. All I do is books. But sixth form, then I started running. I mean, I just discovered that I could do the long distance.
Wow.
So I was running the cross country for my house, that was Augustine House, and then the school also. Then I attempted the 5,000. Running on the pitch is a bit different from running outside. Yeah, so I didn't fit in too well on the tracks. So I think that's basically what I used to do. The cross country I used to do.
Okay. Amazing. And I take it that you have Catholic or Anglican background.
Yeah, my dad was a Catholic, although non-practicing. He actually, when we were young, he nearly really practiced. It was quite later on that he started going to church. I mean, yes, but I was born. I mean, my mom was an Anglican, so my formative years I used to go to church at the Anglican with my mom because my mom was a shepherd in the Anglican church, so he takes us to church. Yes, I have a brother and a sister. Yeah, so that's the three of us. So my mom used to take us to church.
Amazing. You had a great education at St. Peter's secondary school, now senior high school. I have a couple of friends who also attended the school. Current mates, Dr. Kweku Obenga Ponsa, who is, I mean, disciplined, thorough, very diligent, and everything that you can think about.
Yeah, typical person.
I also have another colleague as well. He's not a medical doctor, but he's an entrepreneur, making it really big. Robert Akanlute, I actually grew up with him. And when he made the choice of St. Peter's, I asked him, why are you choosing St. Peter's? We're both Catholics anyway. I was not as, how would I put it? My eyes are not open to the world like he was. Yes. So he began to tell me, I was like, oh, wow, I never knew. Until I came to Accra, I got to hear about St. Peter. I was like, wow. This was a real contender. This definitely a school I would have considered if I was not coming to Presbyterian Boys Secondary School. So yes, St. Peter's Dignitati Hominum, God bless you so much for the training that you inculcated in Deacon Dr. Anthony Adolfo Ofosu. That helped him become who he is. Yes, and he's providing service to humanity, as your motto rightly puts it. So you said you taught in St. Peter's. Right?
Sixth form. At that time, you used to do sixth form national service. So the national service was 2 years. You do a sixth form national service, and then after the university, because there was some aluta or strike in the university, so there was a delay before you can enter the university. So it was used for service. So national service. So then you do national service 1 year, sixth form. And then when you finish the university, then you do the second one.
Yes. These are some very unique experiences.
So I used to teach. I mean, in fact, my class in chemistry, I mean, the record was good. Half of the class had a grade 1. Yes, half of them. I mean, the lowest was a 3. So I mean, and my notes then that I used, I did the notes for them. It was a legacy that was passed on for generations. It was a legacy.
It's probably something that is, typical of the boys of St. Peter's, because we also had someone in medical school who attended St. Peter's, who used to also make notes for medical students, so that his name continued and lingered on even after he had finished medical school. Is this something that you were taught in St. Peter's?
Well, not really. I mean, but because as I said, basically you are brought up to be studious.
Right.
I mean, the rigor and discipline is to be studious. And I quite remember, I mean, when I was in Form 1, second term or something, my general science notebook got missing. And I wrote it from my memory.
You definitely were a bookworm, a smart one at that.
I wrote all the notes. And people asked, I just wrote all the notes.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Okay, so from teaching A-level chemistry, O-level chemistry,
yes.
Being a lover of animals, why then did you go to medical school? Why not chemistry? Why not veterinary medicine?
You know, in Ghana, the basic science is not strong. My dad always says that I will have been a very good, chemistry person. If I was aware the basic sciences or pure science are valued. I mean, maybe I may ended up even winning the Nobel Prize.
Certainly. For someone who writes notes from memory.
Yes, because for some strange reason I could just understand it. And it's surprising. When I was in the O-level myself, I had a little difficulty with the chemistry. And then A-level, then I started getting the feel of it. Then I look back and I said, this O-level chemistry is just some basic principles. If you understand it, it's easy.
Right.
So when I came to do the service, I actually wanted to teach biology. Then the assistant headmaster said, no, you teach chemistry. Yes, so I just flowed. So, coming back to the work, actually all my life I wanted to be a vet.
Okay.
I wanted to do vet because I love animals. Based from my experience as a young person, I always have dogs, I have guinea pigs, I have rabbits.
Wow.
Yes, I grew with animals. So I wanted to do veterinary medicine. But at that time, there was no vet school in Ghana.
Oh, okay.
You have to go to Nigeria.
Okay.
You have to go to Nigeria to do veterinary medicine. And at that time, I didn't fancy myself going to Nigeria. So then I reluctantly did medicine. And yes, your life, more or less, your life is shattered along a certain course. You are very good in the secondary school, then you end up doing science.
Right.
Because at that time, you go Form 1, 2, 3. Then Form 3, when you're going to Form 4, then you choose your subjects.
Oh, okay.
So most of the good students, like in St. Peter's, which is predominantly very science biased, virtually all the good students end up doing science. So you are channeled into it. And then when you do science, then if you go next step, med school or engineering or whatever, you are so I really what I wanted to do was to be a vet.
Right.
But then I ended up doing medicine.
So which medical school were you in?
Yeah, the only university, the only medical school in Ghana. The University of Ghana Medical School. There's only all the others are pretenders.
Certainly. I attended the University of Ghana Medical School, and I agree with you. I agree with you.
So I'm a class of 92.
Oh, okay, class of 92.
Yes.
Impressive. So you're in the University of Ghana Medical School between the years of
86 to 92.
Oh, okay. I think you used to do 7 years, if I'm not mistaken.
It was roughly. It was 6 years. 86 to 92.
Right. How was your experience there over in medical school too?
Oh, I didn't like medical school. I never did. It was horrible for me.
Is it possibly because you did not like it in the first place?
Maybe, but it was tough.
Okay.
It was tough for me. I just kept my head above the waters.
Okay. Just barely passing.
Yes, barely passing. At least I assured myself that I wasn't going to fail. I quite remember pharmacology. I failed all the interim assessments. And then the master, the lecturer came and it was like, oh, those of you who failed the interim assessment, count yourself out. There's no way. I said, I don't fail. I'm not going to fail.
Exactly.
And I sailed through. Yes, so I really didn't. I flowed through.
Right.
It was like I just flowed through medical school. Yes, and the love that I found was the community medicine.
Okay.
Yes, when we started doing community medicine, then I saw that that's something that I really liked. So I mean, I flowed along. Yes, so that's it. So medical school was really torrid,
Right.
and the lecturers, for some reason, maybe I don't know about now, but they were horrible. I mean, those times, some of them were really terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they were not out to help you. They put you down.
Yeah.
They make you feel that you are nothing. I mean, I didn't have a good experience, honestly. Yes, I mean, that. I mean,
and with teachers being the people who always lead, who always inspire their students. If you're having teachers who are not inspiring you, rather putting you down, then definitely I understand why you did not enjoy your medical school experience at all. But things have changed. I think they've improved. Of course, while I was in medical school, we did have some concerns with some lecturers and all, but the vast majority, I would say, were really great.
We thank God. We really thank God, because that was our hope, that those of us who have gone through those experiences will not replicate it.
Exactly.
But will make it better for the rest. And I mean, it's our contemporaries now who are there. So. And those behind us who are there. So if they don't make it better, I mean, because we complain. So because the world rounds age was like they wanted to really put you down and make you look like you are nothing. I mean, I don't know why they did that. I mean,
Eventually, it did fall through.
Yeah, I did.
We are grateful for it.
And I got a credit in community medicine.
Amazing, amazing. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah. Okay, so after medical school, you completed in 1992.
Yeah. Then I did my house job.
Your house job.
In
Where was that? Okay.
Kolebu, I did pediatric rotation, and then I did surgery.
Okay.
And then, the other minor ones, but and then after the house job.
But how was your experience doing pediatrics?
I love it. I mean, that was when I really was finding myself.
Right.
So I was into it.
Okay.
I mean, I love it. Yeah, Professor Rodriguez.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know her.
Yeah.
She did actually teach us.
Yeah.
And she was one of our patrons at the St. Luke Catholic Church.
Yes, and then Professor Josie. Yeah, so I really love it. I mean, I really got into it. I was very passionate about it. And I mean, I used to really even cry when the children die sometimes. And then Madame Rodriguez would call me into her office and I mean, she taught me how to be a bit more detached emotionally.
Right.
And still show empathy, but be more detached. And be more professional.
I mean, the parent is crying, and the
so
doctor who is supposed to console is also crying.
Yeah, that was very, I was into it. I mean, I quite remember one incident, for example. There was this young, he had viral hepatitis. I think she was about 6 or 7. Okay. She had viral hepatitis. Then she went to hepatic coma. She was bleeding. Yeah, then she got slightly better. Then
a ray of hope.
Yes, then she relapsed again. And then, I mean, her blood, HB drop. I was going to get blood for her from the blood bank. I hustled. I went to fight at the blood bank with them to get blood. And then I came. And when
things never change.
I came, she was dead. I mean, I was just holding the blood in my hand and I was crying. I mean, I remember
after having gone through all that you went through.
Yes,
trying to see
I remember that vividly. I really, and then with the surgery also, Professor Dako.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is an old boy, actually, of the Presbyterian Boys Secondary School.
Rudolph.
Yeah.
He was my boss.
Oh, okay.
And then Dr. Naida, Professor
Naida, yes.
Yeah, I work on love. So, yes. I mean, that one too, I used to really get into it. I mean, that was when I discovered that I love medicine. Because then it was the people, it was the work, and always that's the difference between the academic and then the practice.
Exactly.
Yes, I mean, it's not always those who do well academically who do well as good practitioners.
That's true.
I mean, yes. When it came to the practice, I mean, I was into it. I mean, I can remember. I mean, I used to work so hard. I mean, as a house officer, I mean, at that time you do everything. Like when I was doing a surgery rotation, you shade the patient, you pass the catheter, all those sort of things. And then there was this elderly Cape Coast lady who was there. I think she had, somebody did some operation for her. I think hysterectomy and cut the ureters or something. So they brought her. So she was on the ward for quite a while. So she was observing me, and then one of the days she just said, I was just preparing a patient for surgery, and then when the patient then said, Dr. Fusu, then I went, hey, doctor, when you are in Huazi.
Oh, fancy.
Yes,
it's fancy.
To which your eyes are seeing things.
Yeah. and they can be very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, the aged, they can be very interesting to
they can
interact
be very
with.
interesting,
Yeah, certainly. You have seen a lot in the medical practice. So after housemanship, what then happened?
Yes. During the housemanship, that was at the peak of the cash and carry. That was also one of my problems.
Okay.
I mean, because my idea about, I think at that time I was a bit naive.
Okay.
And a bit of, how will I call it? I mean, maybe not real.
Okay.
I mean, yes.
Okay. Not being realistic.
Not being realistic.
You had an idyllic mind, world in mind.
Very idyllic world in mind. And I mean, the calling is to take care of the sick.
Right.
I take care of the sick. I mean, but then the cash and carry jolted me, because then you cannot take care of the person if the person doesn't bring money. And for me, it was a no.
Yeah.
I mean, why should somebody who is sick and dying, then you want to collect money? And it was like that. I mean, people died.
Yeah.
Children died, asthmatic attack, they died because then you needed. And I said, no, this. So I started asking around, because I said, no, this, I cannot practice like this. I'm not, that's not what I think about medicine. I mean, I want a place where I can work, where people will take care of that business.
Right.
That I'm not required to demand for medicines and things from patients. It is not, that's not the way I look at medicine. Mine is to save lives.
Right.
And the system should enable and facilitate me to save lives. So I was asking around, and I heard that, in the mission hospitals, they don't do that.
Okay.
So I said, okay, fine. So then I started looking around for mission hospitals. So after my house job, I started nosing around. Then I wanted to go to Jirapa.
Okay.
But I heard there was a mission hospital.
West region.
Yes.
Right.
There was a mission hospital there. And then also I heard of Brekum in the Brong-Ahafo region.
Right.
Yeah. So whilst I was nosing around, and I think the administrator of the Brekum Hospital, who was then, I think, one of the executive of the Christian Health Association of Ghana, the late Mr. Sari, he heard about me that there was a young daughter in Kolebu who is interested in working in the mission.
Right.
So he came there and he found me. So he said, I heard that you want to work. So yes, he said, if you are interested, tomorrow I'm going. You can go and have a look if you like it. Yeah, so I went with him. Went to size up the place, and I liked it. So then, I went to Brekum.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
was... that was right after your housemanship.
Yes.
You moved to Brekum.
Yes.
Is that the Holy Family Hospital?
Family Hospital in Brekum.
Right.
I went there.
Right.
I mean, so I transferred myself. I mean, nobody pushed me out. I went on my own. I mean, I went on my own.
And that's surprising because that is not what we typically see. People would rather clamor and push to move from the districts to places like Accra. But you did the opposite. You decided you wanted to leave Kolebu, the premier teaching hospital, to go work at Holy Family Holy Family Hospital. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was a real good decision. I mean, in 3 months' time, when I came back to Accra and I would visit my friends in Kolebu, there are things that I could do. I mean, they had no idea.
Right.
I mean, I was doing bowel resections and anastomosis after 3 months. I mean, large bowel, because then Brekum sigmoid, I mean, volvulus was very common. Right. Very, very common. I mean, you open up and it is twisted and dark like a bicycle tie. Like a bicycle tie. Yeah. So, I mean, and then when I came back to Kolebu, they were all walking around collecting blood. Still chasing blood with no skills. And I could do that because then, when I went to Brekum, there were very experienced people there.
Right.
I mean, there was a Dutch lady there was another surgeon there and all this. And I call myself a hospital rat. I mean, I wasn't married. Right. So I eventually stayed on the hospital campus or on the compound.
Right.
So I take calls for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was on call every day because I have nothing doing. If I go home, there's nothing in the home. Yeah. So I stayed on the hospital compound taking calls. So then they are like backup, second call. So if the case comes, then I call them, then they will come, then they will teach me. So they teach me. So ectopic, cesarean sections, and the typhoid preparation was very common then. So within 3 months, I have skills. I could do a lot of stuff within 3 months. So it was really a good decision that I took.
How long did you stay in Brekum?
I stayed in Brekum for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But
10 years, 10 years is a lot of time.
Yes.
So what we'll do is I would want us to take a quick break. So then when we return, we'll delve deeper into this career of yours.
Okay.
From Kolebu Teaching Hospital, forcing your way to Brekum. This is unheard of. And then spending 10 years there and what subsequently ensued. When we return, there's so much more that we'll be talking about. We are currently in the studios with Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu, who is the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. And we are discussing the good doctor, a doctor for the people, a doctor of the people, a doctor who is willing to do every and all that is within his abilities to make sure his patients get the best of care. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
ỌDADEƐ Radio. Like us on Facebook at ỌDADEƐ Radio. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ỌDADEƐ Radio. You can WhatsApp or call us on 0200-092925.
Did you know that 90% of people with autoimmune diseases will be misdiagnosed or spend years before a diagnosis is made? Precious time that could lead to organ damage. Autoimmune diseases occur when the immune system starts to attack healthy organs and cells in the body till they are destroyed. These conditions are more severe and are increasingly seen in people of African ancestry. The Rheumatology Initiative, TRI, is an NGO leading with education, advocacy, and research in autoimmune diseases. TRI ensures patients have the right peer support with a support group of over 200 people diagnosed with autoimmune conditions. The Rheumatology Initiative provides emergency medication for needy patients and teaches them life skills to ensure some financial stability. TRI reaches patients, health practitioners, and the general public through various educational interventions to enable prompt diagnosis and treatment for improved outcomes. How can you support our work at the Rheumatology Initiative? Please donate to our MTN Momo 024-192-9775. Account name is the Rheumatology Initiative. To volunteer, please send an email to volunteer@tryghana.org. That's TRIGhana.org. Visit our website tryghana.org to reach us, and on social media look for our handles at TryGhana.
What does the Bible say? And what sort of light does it throw on any life-related issue? John chapter 1 verse 5 states, "And the light shineth in darkness, and darkness comprehended it not." Light for Life is a Christian panel discussion program on all life-related issues and how the Bible helps us in its day-to-day application. Beloved, my name is Reverend Gordon Kwashi, and I invite you to join me and my guests on the Light for Life program on ỌDADEƐ Radio Online this and every Sunday from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I trust that as we engage in this Light for Life program, we'll all be able to say to our God, "In thy light we shall see light." God richly bless you as you tune in.
I don't know what I would do without him. Whom shall I fear? Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race.
ỌDADEƐ Health Matters is a radio program designed to address various health-related issues as we go through our daily lives. As the saying goes, do take care of your body. It is the only place you have to live. Join us and our team of ỌDADEƐ medical professionals as we address various health matters that affect you and the people you care about. My name is Dr. Samuel Nyama. I will be your host on ỌDADEƐ Health Matters, along with my co-host, Dr. Awuni, live on ỌDADEƐ Radio Online, this and every Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Do join us.
Feel there are dreams, stop existing and start living.
ỌDADEƐ Radio. Like us on Facebook at ỌDADEƐ Radio. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ỌDADEƐ Radio. You can WhatsApp or call us on 0200-092925.
You are welcome back. This is ỌDADEƐ Health Matters live here in the studios of ỌDADEƐ Radio on this very beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We are in the studios with the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service in the person of Deacon Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu, who is currently taking us through his life, the challenges that he encountered through the healthcare system in Ghana, what he was able to do to tackle some of these challenges. And he's going to be talking about the current challenges that we face as a country, from which we will then, talk about what we'll be able to do to help curb some of these challenges. You are listening to us live on ỌDADEƐ Radio. You are listening to us either through our YouTube channel at ỌDADEƐ Radio or live on Facebook at ỌDADEƐ Radio Ghana. You can interact with us via our various social media handles, ỌDADEƐ Radio, on each of them, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And you can also send your messages, your comments, your suggestions to our WhatsApp number 02092925. We want to get back to talking about the life of Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu. He's been telling us a lot. Someone who decided on his own to leave Accra to go to Brekum. That is unheard of. It's something that typically does not happen. What you typically have now is someone moving from Brekum to Accra. But he decided he needed to go to Brekum. And it paid off, as we'll soon find out. Okay, Dr. Ofosu. So you left, went to Brekum, spent 10 years there. Can you give us a bit of a summary? What happened and what eventually led you to, in quotes, the forgotten district of Seni?
In Brekum, yes, working in Brekum, I was in charge of the children's ward. I returned to my lab, so I was there.
Right.
In charge of children's ward in Brekum, the Holy Family Hospital. Over the period that I was there, I used to run what we call anemia clinic. I was one of the first people who were running anemia clinics.
That's a medical officer.
Yeah, sickle cell patients,
Wow.
and then children with anemia, because anemia was a problem there.
Right.
So I used to run anemia clinic, and in fact there are a lot of stuff that we used to do then, managing sickle cell patients even at that time. Yes. And then I used to teach also at the nursing training school.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's an NTC in Brekum. Yes, so I used to teach there also. Yeah, while I was there. And then, that's where I got married.
Okay.
I got married there, yes. 2 years after I've gotten there, I got married.
Yeah, you left Kolebu and found love in Brekum.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, so I got married in Brekum.
Right.
And then 99, I went, when I went there, then I met a doctor, at that time, the district medical officer of health, Dr. Kumsin. So he introduced me also to community work.
Right.
Community practice. Because he was the district director.
Right.
So when something I closed, then he when he's going to the district, then I follow him.
Go along.
Then I go along. Then he got me involved in a study,
Right.
research that we do on nutrition. Yeah, so that was my beginning of my passion for public health, because then I started gravitating towards public health. So then I used to help them, public health and stuff. So 95, he left for Seychelles, and he recommended me. So in 95, that was just 1 year after being in the district, I was made a district director of health services.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I've been at the management level in the health sector for a long time. Yeah, so just 1 year after service, or 2 years after service, after house job, I was a district director of at that time district medical officer of health.
Right.
Yes, and so I used to run both the district and then also manage the children's ward, do my calls. And then in Brekum we had a very unique tradition. Every morning there's a clinical meeting. Right. Every morning, 7 o'clock clinical meeting. So then if you are on call, then you come and present the cases. Yeah, you come
saw to
through the night. Yes, you present the case and you hand over. Before you go to PD or whatever. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's
a great learning opportunity. Yeah.
And it's quite a busy place. And we used to have medical students coming from Niemen University in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
And so I used to be a supervisor of the medical students who come from Niemen University.
Right.
Then in 1998, I came back to the University of Ghana. Okay. To do public health. Right. Yeah, to do public health at the University of Ghana. That's 1998.
So you've actually answered the question why you did public health. From the beginning, you mentioned that while you're in medical school, you enjoyed the community health bit. Yeah. You ended up with a credit in community health as well. went to the district very passionate about actually changing healthcare, not just about taking care of patients.
Yeah.
So we get where the passion to do public health came from.
But when I became the district director, I mean, one of my passion was facilitating access to care then.
Right.
So I was able to get the district assembly to build facilities in a lot of the place, because at that time the Holy Family Hospital was virtually like the only facility there, and it was a Catholic facility. So there are a lot of like the family planning services were not being offered at all. So I started to facilitate access to family planning services and other services. So then I got the district assembly to build facilities in a lot of the places, Boto Chrome, if I remember, Krufro, Kutri. So then they built all those facilities, and then I used to go there. So I used to rotate, go to each of those places to ginger people coming to those facilities to access care. And then in the Zongo community in Brekum, I set up a family planning clinic in a rented premise there in Brekum, so that people can have access to family planning in Brekum, because the teaching was, I mean, the Holy Family Hospital, which is a Catholic hospital, was not offering family planning services.
Achievements at such a young stage in your medical career, it's impressive. It's impressive. You went way above and beyond to do the things for people to improve access. So you are stationed in the hospital does not provide a particular service. You decide to go the extra mile and go out there and then set it up. And even while manning the hospital, you still made time to be able to go and then man. It's really impressive. God bless you so much. God bless you so much for the service. And we've not even gotten into all the other things that you did for Mother Ghana regarding health. Amazing. So while you're in Brekum, we'll soon get to talk about, the Sene district. One of the forgotten, and I like to put it in quotes, forsaken districts, right? I went through your book, A Doctor for the People, and there's something very notable in there where you mentioned that there are people within Ghana at that time,
and even
especially
now,
within Sene,
and even now, it's not
who would not get into any registry in Ghana. They are born without a medical record. They never get into school, so they are never enlisted in the school registry, and they die without
any
a death certificate. And that ends it.
I mean, that's the reality of our country, and not only us. I mean, all the developed countries. I mean, that's our reality. People can be born, they are not registered at birth.
Right.
Remember, our birth registration is hovering now around 68-70%.
Right.
So then, I mean, if the person does not go to school, which can be possible in some of the communities,
very possible.
Then he doesn't get into any book. He lives, then he dies. He's buried. I mean, they bury at home. You don't need
only in the memories of the family.
Yes, only in the memory of the family. You don't need a burial certificate to bury.
It's amazing. And this was the environment you worked in.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more. So from Brekum, how did you end up in Sene?
That's, the hand of God, I'll say. I mean, one of the deputy, at that time they used to call him Senior Medical Officer of Health, of Public Health, SMOPH. He traveled to do a course. So then I was asked as the most senior most person, district director, to act at the SMOPH for Brong Ahafo region then. So whilst I was acting at the SMOPH for the Brong Ahafo region, the regional director, who was new then, Dr. Alhaj Mohammed Ibn Ibrahim. It looked like there was a lot of pressure for him to send a doctor to Sene district, because Sene district was the only district in Brong Ahafo that didn't have a doctor at all. Nobody wanted to go there.
They never had a doctor.
They've never had a doctor. There was no doctor there at all.
What was the reason for this?
I mean, it's way somewhere
in the hinterland.
We call it Eastern Corridor. Wow. I mean, it's an inland peninsula.
Right.
It's an inland peninsula. You have the Sene, river, like that, and the Pru River, and then the Volta Lake.
Right.
So the land mass just juts into it like that. It's a very remote place. I mean, at that time,
very poor access.
Roads are bad. The road leading to the district capital is even very bad, and social amenities are not there. I mean, schools are not really good schools and
Right,
other things.
right.
So it wasn't really a favorite place for people. And then also, it had a reputation of being a Siberia, where people who are recalcitrant and terrible are deported, are sent to. So when you are bad, then they'll send you off to.
As a form of punishment.
As a form of punishment, they send you to Senate district.
Amazing.
So it had that reputation. So then, because of the pressure on him, when I was at SOP, he asked me to go and evaluate the place.
Okay.
And see how we can put steps in place to send a doctor there. There was no hospital there. They just have 3 health centers, quite small health centers. So I went there with a team. We did our assessment and everything. Then we came back and I presented a report to, my boss, the regional director. Then I went, so I was shuttling between the region and Brekum, but I was still doing my work at the district, at my district director, and then also in the hospital as the head of the pediatric. So then he called me. He said the regional director wanted to see me after a month or two. Then when I went, he had a report in front of him. Then he was looking at the report.
Your report?
Yes.
Right.
And he said that, well, he had read the report. And in the region, there are only 2 doctors who he think can do it. Because what I recommended was that we need a very senior person who has experience, both clinical experience and public health experience.
Right.
Because you need both. Because it will be impossible to send 2 people there. So to start off with, you need 1, but you need somebody. And he said that, well, reading it, there are only 2 people then who he knows in the region. Myself, and then one doctor called Dr. Parry, David. Dr. Parry was then in Atibubu. So he thought that it wasn't good for him to be sent further to Sene. So then the onus fell on me. So he said, well, so I was there. He said, well, I should go and discuss it with my wife and come back and tell him.
So a place that is supposed to be meant for individuals who are recalcitrant, the doctor who is rather doing the good work ends up there.
Yeah. So when I went and told my wife, my wife called me in the morning and asked me, this new regional director that he has come, why have you done something wrong? I said, oh no. So then one of my cousins, he's a very prayerful guy. He's Mr. Ntimedu. He's the CEO of Yedent in Sunyani. He's my cousin. He's very prayerful. So he came. He used to come from Sunyani to Brekum. So when he came, then I told him that I've been asked to go to Senate. And said, oh, Kwame, don't go. This one is no good. Then he left. About 30 minutes later, he came back.
Right.
Then he said that, hey, you should go. The Holy Spirit spoke to me on the way. And he quoted Acts, that God decide where each man should live.
Right.
So that's what the Holy Spirit has told him. So I should go. And me, when I prayed about it, I felt at peace with it. So then I decided, well, I'll go. So I went and told Alhaji. So then we decided that for the first time, and that's very unique, and that shows, the man was a real leader. He sat down with me, we drew an MOU, showing what the region would do.
Right.
And was one to take care of my children's education. That means that they need to be in a place where they can. So then this was to station them in Sunyani.
Right.
So my family was supposed to move from Brekum to Sunyani. So they provided me with accommodation.
Right.
So it was part of the MOU that they'll provide me with accommodation for my family to be in Sunyani, so that my children can have access to school. And then what I was supposed to deliver was also set out, that within 1 year I was supposed to set up to be able to do surgeries, because that was one of the problems, emergency surgeries, cesarean section and stuff. So within 1 year, then 2 years I was supposed to get a lab, and they also, as part of the MOU, was supposed to provide me with staff, not only those who have been consigned to Siberia, but good staff. Yeah, so those were, and we signed it. We signed the agreement. And then
that's the power of people who are united for a common cause. That is what they are able to achieve. Because I'm thinking about it. A doctor born and bred in the capital, Accra, someone who used to watch Indian and Chinese movies in Gaskia, Latebi Okoshi, is sent to Sene. Well, he even decides to leave the capital to Brekum himself. And of course, obviously, there's a change with regards to social infrastructure, amenities and all, even while in Brekum. You still made that decision to go. Having gone there, you still left the cinemas of Gaskia and you ended up in Sene, where there was nothing. How were you able to manage it? And I was going to talk about some of these challenges education for your children.
That one, I mean,
Accommodation.
they were in Sunyani, so they attended the St. Mary's School, which is quite a very good school. And then my little one went to Kiddies Paradise, which is also a very, very good school. Yeah, so
St.
that
Mary's,
was.
I actually know one of my colleagues, Sharon Cabo.
Okay.
She attended St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Malcolm Dapa attended St. Mary's. Very good school.
Yeah, it's a very good school. So then that was sorted out. So then I was.
But where were you staying?
So I went to Sene.
Wow.
So I was in Kwame Danso. Yeah, stationed in Kwame Danso. So when I went, I mean, the district assembly, as part of the MOE, they were supposed to provide me with accommodation.
Right.
When I arrived, they've not made any provision for accommodation because the DC said that he never believed that a doctor will come. Wow. So when he received the letter, he thought it was a joke. So they have not made any preparation for accommodation. So I have to sit for almost from morning till evening before they could sort out accommodation for me.
With your luggage?
Yeah.
Wow. So, and despite all this, you stayed?
Yeah, then we started working, started putting things in place and working. It was exciting. I mean, it was really exciting putting things in place. It was a small health center, very, very small health center. Right. So then I needed to adapt. But luckily for me, there was what we call a Saudi project. There was a project that was being done by the Saudis.
All right.
Yes, and it was like a health center. So that was quite a bit bigger. So then they handed over, luckily for me, they handed over that place. So then I remodeled it, purposefully to use as a theater because that was one of my deliverables.
Right.
My deliverable was to
set up a theater.
Yes, and I didn't have staff. I didn't have staff. There was only one professional nurse, one midwife, and then two, enrolled nurses, and then ward assistants mainly. So I took 2 male ward assistants. I took them to Brekum for them to be trained as theater assistants for me.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they trained.
And the Senate district, until recently, when I think it was split, had a very wide coverage.
Yeah, it was big. Senate was big.
Wow.
It was one of the biggest districts.
And they didn't have a hospital.
Yes, they didn't have a hospital.
You went there and you decided you worked on all this.
Yeah, they didn't have, it was the largest district then. In and it had 38 island communities.
Wow.
Yeah, it was inaccessible. A lot of the places were tractor roads.
This is to my colleague who is currently working there, Dr. Nso, who is also a brother. The work that was done and pioneered by Dr. Fosu. I think I don't know if you've paid do they call in something or what, something to thank you for what you've done.
Yes,
because I can see that Dr. Nso is totally enjoying.
Oh, he's enjoying
the hospital. He's enjoying the hospital.
He's enjoying.
And because of the hard work that was put in place by Dr. Fosu and people just like him.
Yes,
I have to say it again. God bless you.
Amen. So we trained them. I trained the theater technicians. Then there was one nurse anesthetist in Brekum who was my friend who was very good, Mr. Minta. So Mr. Minta came down with them. We set up the theater for me. Luckily for me, I got some donation from World Vision. And one of them was a delivery bed. So we modified the delivery bed, put it on bricks as a theater bed.
Wow.
Yeah, we put it on bricks as a theater bed. Luckily also we had a lamp. We had a theater lamp. So we set up. So we're setting up. We've gotten all, scrimping equipment from here and there to set up. Yeah. Then one day, a lady came. Well, normally we refer to Atibubu or Mampo. A primate with obstructed labor. We decide to refer. Then they said they won't go. They don't have money. And the other time, in those places, when you refer, it's like a death sentence. And that's why they wanted a doctor there. Because, once you refer, it's like a death sentence.
Having to move out of your place of residence all the way to a different...
And even getting transport to go in the bad road and all that. So they were just hanging around. They said they won't go. So then, reluctantly, we decided, look here, let's cut. So we took her to theater and we did it. And that was the first surgery ever done on the soil of Senate District.
That was
the guy, he was named after me. He's in SHS 2 now. In Shra, I think Shra Senior High. Yes, in the SHS. They call him Adolfo. So that was
amazing. That's a lovely story.
Yeah, and it was, the news was all over the place now. Then we started the surgery. And I used to do hernias. Because it's a farming community. They farm yam.
Yeah.
So with the
all the
uprooting
loads and
yes,
right.
so hernia was common. I mean, and when the health insurance started, I mean, we were just flooded. I mean, I used to do almost like 12 hernias a week.
Wow.
Yes, 12 hernias a week, back to back, every week, like that. I mean, and this were not this like this small hernia that you see in a crowd.
Obviously, I mean, if you go to the rural communities where they actually have the predisposition and the risk factors, the hernias will definitely be big.
They are huge hernias.
But
one hernia that the guy told me it was 50 years. Wow. At that time, it was older than me. I mean, the hernia was older than me. It was 50 years old.
You're operating on a hernia older than you.
Yeah, that was older than me. It took us almost like 4 hours. Because the bowels were all inside and the tummy has shrunk. The tummy has shrunk, so we had to slowly decompress, get it back into the abdomen because the abdominal cavity has shrunk.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, a lot of So that's setting up the place and then gradually enlarging the place and training staff. That was one of my passions. So I introduced the ward round. So we do ward round. It was compulsory for everyone on night duty, everyone coming on morning. You have to be on ward rounds. Wow. They didn't like it. I mean,
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it.
But I insist.
But it's a great learning opportunity.
Yeah, and a lot of them who really appreciate it. They really appreciate it now that they really learned a lot.
Right.
Yeah, it was a real learning ward round. And it was quite hard. I mean, a small space that we use for a ward.
Right.
Yeah, it's very small space. Both men and women mingled up together. Yeah.
Amazing. The best of Sene Hospital.
We did the lab. Then we did the lab with NACP. NACP, as part of their improving access to HIV care. They brought some money. So then I added a bit of also our hospital money and built a bigger structure that we use for a lab. They brought in equipment. So we have auto analyzers, chemistry and hematological auto analyzers that we use. We got a lab technician. Yeah, then I didn't have anesthetist. So I used to do that.
So Mr. Minta, after having come to train some of your people,
yes, that was not where he was working. Yes, he was working in Brekum. He was a top honcho, a top honcho in Brekum.
You definitely can't take him away.
No. So I used to do the anesthesia myself. So I do the spinal, then I'll monitor for a while to see that the person is stable. Then I'll hand over to one of the nurses. Then I'll scrap and come and do the surgery.
Now, anyone who's worked in the healthcare system, and I'm a relatively young and new doctor, anesthesia in and of itself is a very dangerous procedure. Spinal anesthesia. It requires sometimes more than 2 people to monitor the patient, even as the surgery is going on. And this is the case where one doctor will carry out the anesthetic procedure, then go and do the surgery.
But I had no choice.
I'm lost for words.
Yeah.
I'm actually speechless.
Yeah, then that's what we used to do. I mean, like the ones like the hernias, I just used to use local anesthesia, infiltration with lidocaine. Then I'll do the hernia. Yeah, and then, then I got a nurse who then I sent. I was able to make a case for him. So he's one of he went to nurse anesthetist school just after rotation. We just got him in.
Right.
So after some years he came back to join, and then we really had a team. Yes.
Amazing. So, the birth of Sene District Hospital began with this very man, Dr. Anthony Adolfo Fosu, a man who has been called to serve humanity. Attended the St. Peter's Boys Secondary School, and of course the motto goes Dignitati Hominum. What is this supposed to mean?
The dignity of man.
The dignity of man. And you have done everything to ensure that the people of Sene, the people of Brong Afro region, the people of Ghana have had dignity even as they live. Right? And so now let's talk about, all these achievements that you attained in Sene to becoming the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. What are some of the challenges you've encountered? What are some of the accomplishments you've made? We were talking backstage, and you mentioned the nickname. I would rather keep it for you to mention yourself, if that's okay with you.
What nickname? They used to call me Junge from secondary school. Junge.
Okay.
It's German for boy.
Okay.
In St. we do German from Form 1 to 3.
Right.
If you want to take it to O level, then you take it. So they use my friends that are the boy in the book, the German book I resemble, so they call me Junge. So that's how all my friends call me. They call me Junge.
Okay.
So now that's my.
But eventually got a nickname within the Ghana Health Service space.
Oh, the Dims too.
Tell us more about that. Right.
Dr. Dims.
Right, Dr. Dims.
They call me Dr. Dims.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
The Dims is the DHIS2 platform. You know, from Senate District, I mean, I started venturing a bit into technology I attended a course, a fellowship. I was a fellow at the University of Washington, Seattle.
Right.
Yes, population and leadership fellow, which was funded by Packard and Melinda, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So I was in the U.S. for 1 year,
right,
as a fellow, and then I did global. International, global health, and came back with a certificate in global health.
Right.
Yeah. So whilst I was there, then I started getting interested in technology and in using, especially in health information management. Yeah.
Right.
So I started out with, at that time, PDs, Pocket Digital Assistant, to collect data from the field. So like immunization data. So I started in Brekum. So when I went to Senate, then I really rolled it out really well, where we have PDs that were being used to collect data. Then at the end of the month, they will bring it down to the district and they will sync. Right. And in fact, at that time, I mean, I think I was one of the few places where we had wireless, setup, connectivity. Right. I mean, in my office in Brekum, we set up a wireless connectivity that, shared printer that you can use a wireless route to print.
Right.
Just use a single printer. Right. And then the nurses, when they bring the tablet, will sync through the wireless. And then we collect the data. So then the data doesn't need to be entered.
Okay.
So because of those work that I was doing, there was one director at the Ghana Health Service who is the late now, Dr. Nyonato. Dr. Frank Nyonato. He was also interested a lot in technology. So he started getting interested in what I was doing. So I used to come to Accra. He used to call me. He used to invite me for meetings and stuff. So then I was becoming more like, and even before then, as I always keep telling people, because of the lot of work I was doing, I got like international quite early in my career. Doing work with WHO, even whilst I was in the village. Do work in WHO stuff and in the information space. So then he decided, look here, come to. Then my son was about to start GHS.
Okay.
So what it meant is that I needed to make a decision early, because with GHS you need to start GHS 1. Yeah. So then I moved him to Accra. So that was, once I made that move, then it meant that I was going to move from Senate.
Right. And we're talking about Kevin here?
Yes, Kevin.
Okay. Right.
So then, once I moved, so they came to Accra earlier. They came to Accra in 2009. Okay. 2009, and they came to Accra. Right. Then I joined them in 2010. So when I came to the Ghana Health Service headquarters without any portfolio. I left my big man's post, district director, medical superintendent. Then I came to Accra with no post. And I was just hanging around. I didn't even have a proper office. But just, the vision of driving information. And I quite remember the Deputy Director General then, Dr. Mofa, one of the days, he saw me in the corridor, then he called me. He said, Ofosu, were you forced to come here or you came of your own? Because, people couldn't understand that you were chopping big posts there, and now you're coming here.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's very funny. In the health sector, it's very, very interesting. The headquarters Ghana Health Service is very different in terms of the ball play and all that. There, if you don't take care, even the drivers will treat you like you are a small boy.
You have a field day over you.
So so for somebody who comes from the region where you wield a lot of it's a cultural shock. It's a real cultural shock. So
but you had a vision.
Yes, I had a vision.
Which is why you were willing to take that.
I was just passionate about it. And what he told me was that, look at what he wants us to do. He wants to sit in his office and see every facility data in Ghana. That is all he wanted. So that was the marching of orders. And what I like about it, he was a real good leader. And I also, he was one of my mentors. He taught me the ropes of the headquarters politics. And what to do and what not to do and all those things. I mean, he was a real health politician,
right,
master of the game. I mean, he is the master of the game. And so I benefited from a lot of mentors.
Right.
From the district level in Brekum, I benefited from Dr. Ncheje, who was in Doma. And I think that's something that now I'm passionate about, this whole issue of mentoring, because I've really benefited from it. From other headquarters, so Dr. Jonathan was a real mentor, showing me the room. He used to tell me that, Tony, he used to call me Tony. They say, Tony, in this game, I mean, in here, there are two types of people. There are the crocodiles, and then there are the chickens. The crocodiles are dangerous.
Right.
They can be quiet, but they can destroy you, so watch out for them. They can maim you, so watch out for them. The chickens, don't bother with them. They'll peck at your heels, but they can't do nothing.
Much.
So then that was how I used to profile people. Profile crocodiles and profile chickens.
Right.
And then you know how to deal with them. Yeah, so that was our matter. So before then, the health information system it was basically paper-based, very fragmented. Everybody holds his data to his chest. And data is power, so breaking that strongholds was a problem.
Yeah.
But then, based on what we've learned, and that we were able to do it within 2 years. That is from 2010 to 2012. I built capacity of a core technical team, trained them on the DHIS2 platform. It's a free open software, call it DHIS2. Train them on it, let them go through all the academies and all the things. It was developed by the University of Oslo.
Right.
So they went to Oslo, the Oslo guys came. I mean, the Oslo mode was to send consultant. I said, no, I don't want consultant. If you are bringing consultant, it's to train, not to deploy.
Right.
We will do our own deployment. So we train people on the job, build core capacity, then they develop the system from scratch, build the system. Then 2012, first April, we launched it. We went nationwide. 1st April.
Amazing.
And you know why we chose 1st April?
What was the reason?
Yeah, it was our sense of humor. 1st April is
Oh, April Fools.
Yes, to show all those who doubted it. People doubted whether we could do it.
Wow.
To show them who
Certainly,
they were.
Because this is a story that seems like something that wouldn't have been possible. So
So now so we have all the data, and then now we have private level data.
Right.
It's summary data anyway, summary aggregated data, but at least sitting in my office, I can tell total OPD, total inpatient, percentage insured, total children immunized in Ghana. At a click of a button.
And it's the best way to practice medicine, because we need data-backed evidence to be able to, institute some of the policies, put in policies, and then implement them. And I think it's a great thing that you do. So if you're just tuning in, this is actually ỌDADEɛ Health Matters. We've been in the studios with Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu, aka DIMS 2, right? So if you've ever used the District Health Information Management System, this is the brain behind it, Dr. Anthony Adofo Ofosu. He's told us so much about his achievements, many of the challenges that he came across. And if you've been following us, you can see a man with a vision. He's put everything aside and he's been able to surmount many of these challenges. I want us to come and talk about the current day healthcare system. You are now at the top echelon of power with regards to implementation of health policies. You completed medical school in the year, I think, 1992.
1992.
It coincided with a period when there was huge mass brain drain.
Massive.
You stayed behind.
Yeah, I did.
So it looks like you've always gone against the grain. You've always gone against the tide. First, you moved from the capital to Brekum. From Brekum, you went to Sene, which was basically a place where no one wanted to go to. You've done so much, and then we are not talking about brain drain. At a point in time when everyone was leaving, you decided to stay. First and foremost, I want to know why you stayed. Then we'll talk about the current challenges facing the healthcare system in Ghana.
For me, it's a decision that we all take in life. I made a decision I'm staying because I thought that I could make a better impact if I stayed. So it was never in me to travel.
Amazing.
It wasn't part of my thinking at all.
Not even with the enticement, the allure of money and all.
All that I thought about, if I'm going, then I'm going to study and come back.
Right. So that was how you ended up at the
University of Seattle.
University of Seattle, the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Right.
I mean, not to stay. So it was never part of my... But as you rightly said, at that time, you see, things were such that, I mean, we had only the West African College.
Okay.
Which you took forever to pass if you want to be
a
specialist. It was like an unending cycle. Some were in it for 12 years. Something. Yeah, so people needed to move on. And the salary was no good. I mean, it was nothing to write home about. I mean, so all them the push factors were there, the pull factors were also operating.
But the pull factors seemed to me, listening to you, they did not seem to be much. I think the push factors were more, but he still decided to stay regardless.
Those are personal decisions. In my class, 10 of us stayed.
Out of how many?
Out of I think 64 of us.
Maybe more than half.
Oh,
left.
more than half left. More
Amazing.
than half left.
Amazing.
Yeah, so just 10 of us stayed at that. So that was the real peak of the exodus, the brain drain.
This a current threat is a major challenge in this present age. It started again. I want you to talk about that, tied in with some of the challenges that we have facing the country, the healthcare system in Ghana now, and then also talk about the challenges based on what current crop of doctors are talking about, and then what you think we can do to surmount some of these challenges.
Yeah, the challenges as we face now, I mean, it has to do with, I mean, the health system that we have now. Health financing is a major aspect of the challenge we are facing. I mean, how do you finance health in a sustainable manner in an economy that is not too good? I mean, so health financing, the health insurance had not really lived up to expectation. And the reasons are obvious. The reasons are that the theoretical concepts and underlying of cost containment and all that are not really being implemented. I mean, so then of course, it is a black hole. It's a big hole because the cost will escalate. Because if you are running a health insurance scheme, you need to have ways of containing costs, like using capitation, for example, using procedure that prevents adverse selection, like group registration and all those, and that will ensure that it's not a sick fund, but a health fund, and so that only few people will fall sick and they'll be taken care of, so that concept of solidarity is there. We are not seeing it with our health insurance because of the way we've structured it, and the moral hazard is very high because there's no cost to the patient. The patient can shop, and there's really no distance. So then that sort of perverse incentive is within, and it builds cost, it makes cost. So health financing for us and public health financing, I mean the public health side, so even with the clinical side that the health insurance is taking care of, there are challenges. So then if you find about 6 months, 7 months, facilities have not been paid. So it's a problem. And then you have the public health service side, which also, because of our status as a middle income country, funding is dwindling for the donor community, which used to fund most of these things. And then the government of Ghana funding also is going down. So district health system financing is really facing challenges. So you go to district, I mean, funds have not flowed through the government system over months, and it has implications for the way public health, I mean, the thing that they need to do, supervisory visit, running the motorbike outreaches that need to be done. And currently, I mean, the last time we had commodity challenges because of, I mean, and so health financing is critical. And then also the disease trend changes, the demographic transition and epidemiological transition that we are facing now. The population is growing older. Yes, now. So the non-communicables are coming up. Our model has been a maternal and child health model for a very long time. Very, very long time. Maternal and child health model for service delivery. So that is a challenge that we need to address going forward with the coming in of the non-communicable disease, as said, because now that's the number one cause of mortality. I mean, the non-communicable, and we need to find ways of modifying our service delivery system to accommodate it and offer care for the non-communicable even at the lowest level. Because as of now, care for, I mean, like simple hypertension and diabetes is not even paid for at the health center level, where most of the people, in fact, when you look at the data, 70% of patients, OPD patients in Ghana are seen from the CHIPS level to the district hospital level. 70% of OPD patients.
So the 30, that's just for the secondary and tertiary.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. So that is it. I mean, but then you find out that care
for these non-communicable diseases are typically in the tertiary and secondary
Yes.
levels.
And the financing, the purchaser of the service even does not pay for certain things to be done. We need to change that mindset and move the thing lower down. And then also the chips also make it possible to include some of the preventive aspect of the non-communicable within the chips concept, like checking the BP, so that when they do the home visit, when you go into the home visit, instead of just looking at the women and children. So those are the model that we are talking about, that we are trying to implement. We are now talking about what we call the network of practice, where we are going to group some of these chips under a health center, resource the health center well. Yes, so that's also one of the things that we are trying to do to correct that model and ensure that we'll be able to deliver care. The other issue also is the infrastructure problem and the equipment problem. I mean that we have. I mean, some of the basic equipment are not there. We need to. We're trying to see how best we can maximize the use of some of these equipment and availability through the network of practice that we're talking about, that we want to do. And one thing that comes into mind, which is very important in the practice, is the radiological side, which is very weak, very, very weak. I mean,
imaging services are not
non-existent. Non-existent. I mean, it's only in few places that you find imaging. Yes.
Because a very major hospital in the northern part of Ghana, there was a point in time, I think a patient went there and they said the CT scan, there was no place to actually have a CT scan done. It was amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, those are the concerns that we need to tackle. Yes, and then of course now the brain drain has started again. It started with Vim, because the pull factors after post-COVID spaces have been created in people who carry money. So of course they are doing vigorous recruitment. So
I spoke to a couple of colleagues, people within the healthcare space, trying to understand what they think the current health challenges are. And they mentioned basically the one they are mentioning. But of course, you have a more in-depth knowledge with the way you explained it. I understand it far better than what I've always thought. But then there are a couple of them that I actually enumerated, which they think are the current challenges affecting us. I don't know how similar these are to the ones that you had while you were rising. So I'll just mention them and then we'll find the way forward, because I've seen that you have solved many a challenge in the healthcare system. And I'm sure you have ideas that would be able to, help us in this regard as well. So one of them mentioned was that there's a lack of political will and culture towards improving health by successive governments. So there isn't the political will. So people feel like if the people who bring out the policies, the people who bring out the pairs to ensure that healthcare delivery is going on well, if they don't have the political will, why should I, as a doctor, stay behind to sacrifice like you did? It's not everyone who is able to have the same mentality.
The intentions have been good. I mean, it's more about the without to make it happen, because the cake is as big as it is, and sharing the cake among many children,
it's not easy.
It's not easy. Once the cake is small, it's small. So when this small cake is shared, all the Minister of Education, Minister of Health, I mean, it ends up being small. So you may have all the good intentions. So I won't say that there's lack of political will. It's more of the without is not really there. And that is where the challenge is. I mean, so even if you say prioritization, if you prioritize even education and health itself, it still will eat up all the money there is. So those are the challenges that I think we need. And it has always been like that. I mean, when you look at our expenditure on health, it's quite low.
So it means that is it possible? Yes, you've stated the fact that the national cake in and of itself is not too huge. There will be the need for prioritization, which is already happening, I suppose. Either there is still not enough, and it's all because there's the wherewithal is not so huge, it's not so big. I think it ties into the other ones where they mentioned poor remuneration, and then the fact that the economic climate is just not favorable. Because they feel when you were growing up as a medical doctor, probably remuneration was better. You had accommodation. Okay, how about accommodation?
No, working in the district, you have accommodation.
Okay, right,
I mean, that way you
right.
have accommodation. Yeah, but if you work in Accra, but working in the district,
Right.
if I had in the Holy Family, that was one of the incentives. You had accommodation.
Right.
They gave you don't pay electricity bill.
Right.
You don't pay water bills. They buy gas. I mean, gas for you to cook. Once it gets empty, you just go and dump it. They will come and replace it.
How about in Kolebu? Did you have some of these?
No.
Okay, so it means they actually changed around your time. Because what we heard is that
it was the food. It was the house officer you eat.
Okay.
You eat at the canteen. So you just eat at the canteen. And then, the house officer's flat, you were in the house officer's flat, yes. And virtually everybody, the numbers were not huge.
Lower.
So everybody was housed in the house officer's flat.
Now the numbers are higher.
Yes.
People are having to get their own accommodation. I don't know about the feeding now, but I actually had the opportunity to enjoy the feeding as well. But we are informed at a point in time, medical students, were often paid even to be in school. That was, times of old.
Oh, no,
so yeah.
I didn't even.
You didn't enjoy
no.
that, right?
The other one, what we were, when I went to the university initially, they were giving us a weekly something.
Okay.
That's for the meals.
Right.
They were giving us some money. Then they changed to coupon, meal coupons.
Okay.
That was when I was in Banda when I was in the Commonwealth War. So they used to bring the coupons. Now you go and collect your coupon to go and collect your meal. Yeah, so we used to get coupons. But it's for everybody. It wasn't for medical students. All the students. I can't remember that one. That was in 86, 87.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So people feel like all these have changed. We don't have these incentives anymore. So it's one of the driving factors for people leaving the country. And that's also the point. The government made a great decision, I think in 2003, to set up the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. And that really did help to stem the tide.
Yeah, it did. In fact, I was telling you about the West Africa College and the way it frustrated people.
Right.
And so when the Ghana College came, I think it has really helped. It's really, when you look at it, especially that they've been able to produce. Yes, and then we provided now they're coming out with quite a lot of reforms that will facilitate access to care and training for doctors. They are coming out with quite very innovative. Yes, especially. They are talking about people being able to enter into the residency program
immediately after. That's something I was going to mention, because many of my colleagues have often mentioned that they feel, having to do housemanship and then have to stay for a number of years practicing as a medical officer before specializing has also been another challenge that is driving people away from Ghana. So if these reforms are coming,
these reforms are coming. Yes.
So what do you think is the way forward? How do you think we'll tackle these challenges with a very small national cake that do you think is evenly distributed in the first place?
In terms of
equity, is the equitable distribution of the national cake?
Or the health workers or
to all the sectors.
Well, it depends. It depends because now with the free SHS, of course, it's huge expenditure. So of course, education will get a chunk of it, and you can't begrudge them.
Education is very important.
Yeah. So that goes with it. So you need to. It's a balancing act that needs to be done. On our part, as Ghana Health Service, because now I'm part of the management, so I can talk to that. On our part, what we try to do, which is within our means, is we call the non-financial incentives. Because the financial incentives go beyond us, which we don't control.
You don't bring out the
Ministry of Finance.
Certainly.
Yeah. So with the non-financial incentive, what we have done, not that we have proposed, we are doing it now. That there are in some of the places, we have certain places that we call deprived that we have designated. If you go there, you get promoted out of 10.
Okay.
You get promoted out of 10. You get to go to school out of 10. Whereas maybe your colleague somewhere may need 3 or 4 years, you would do 1 year or something. And you go. And then we are trying to let those places create some local incentives like free accommodation and stuff. So we started those things as a way of some enabling factor that we can control within our means. Yes, that we are trying to do. But by and large, there's no doubt that the financial incentives to address the inequity is needed. It is a known fact, which is known everywhere in the world. When you go to US, the doctors who work on the native Indian reservations get more than doctors working in New York. It's normal. But it looked like for some strange reason in Ghana, getting that debate across has been like something like I mean, the way people try to equalize things and say that why should you be treated different? Yeah, but of course you should look at what you need and prioritize. So if it is doctors and nurses that you need, then you prioritize.
Exactly.
And award incentives accordingly because you need them. If teachers that you need, then you do that. These are policy decisions that you make and not like trade union sort of behavior that sort of that we are all health workers. So if you when we are all in the deprived area, so why should somebody be giving? So I think these are some of the undertones that maybe make the financial incentives not well. But I think lessons abound in a lot of countries.
Right.
That financial incentives, how matter small, does help. In fact, myself and some colleagues, one of the very interesting research that have been done on this, we call it the Flight of Physicians from West Africa. It's one of the most cited works. I mean,
the Flight
of Physicians
from West Africa.
Yes, yes. So you can look it up.
I'll definitely have to look
yes.
this up.
Amy Hegopian et al.
Okay.
I mean, I was one of the people. Yes, and we examined some of the underpinnings of these things. One that we found was the culture of the schools. The culture of the school. The culture of the schools had a lot to do with migration. There are certain schools, University of Ghana is one.
Right.
Ibadan University is one.
In Nigeria.
Is one. And then there's Ile-Ife also.
Okay.
And then there's also another university in South Africa.
Okay.
There's a culture among faculty that makes it that it is, if you are good, then you migrate. So there's that subtle socialization.
Right. Without you knowing, you are socialized into it. So before long, you are down with medical school, and you've already made up your mind.
Yes, there's a subtle socialization that goes on.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. You have an interest in technology. Do you feel there's a role technology can play, especially with regards to improving access?
Oh, definitely. Now with the COVID coming on, telemedicine have been seen as a game changer when it comes to facility. And then now if the things are improving, I mean, I would say I'm young, but I've seen a lot of changes over the period. Certain things that we thought was not possible, now it's possible. Now remotely, you can even get surgeries done remotely. I mean, with assistant and all that. And then with artificial intelligence and machine learning coming up now, a lot of things will be possible. So that you don't need physical presence. You don't need physical presence.
So this is something we can actually engage to help people in the hinterlands and all.
Yes, and telemedicine, I mean, even this imaging stuff that we are talking about, you can centralize the imaging, take the imaging and send. And then people all over the world, you can contract them and they read the image and send the results. I mean,
is there some work in progress?
Yeah, there are quite a lot of work in progress within the Ghana Health Service, the PPME, the Policy Planning Monitoring Evaluation Division. We were dealing with that. Yes, as part even of the network of practice that I'm talking about. Telemedicine is one of the key drivers of it.
That's great.
Yes, so that there will be a link up between the health centers, that is what we call the hub, and then the spokes that are the chips. And then the health center and the district hospital also will be linked up, so that the doctor there can help them manage cases. So that it's only those that really need to be referred that will be referred. Yes.
This has been a very interesting and a very lengthy one at that discussion on the life and career of Dr. Ansonia Dofo Ofosu, who is the current Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. He's written a book that is supposed to help us understand what the challenges he faced and the current challenges of the Ghana health system is and what we can do to be able to overcome them. And it's been a great period. Just before we go, this is a penultimate question before we talk about the book and every other thing. I, as a medical practitioner, you mentioned the impact of non-communicable diseases currently in our ecosystem. I decided to set up an organization known as On-Field Lifesavers. And basically what we did is something similar to what you're talking about, is that we go out there to places where people have regular meetings. So we're talking about places like trotro stations, taxi stations, churches, a place where you get people come and gathering often. And what we do is that we decided we should go beyond the organizing a monthly or health screenings, but we go over there and we teach and we train them on how to check their own blood pressures. Then we donate a sphygmomanometer, live with them, let them elect someone, in quotes, a health prefect. Every day when you come, you check your blood pressure, you note it down, and then we choose one. So I am the CEO, but I have a couple of other colleagues who've joined in. And what we do is that we distribute each person. They call and they tell you, these are the values. They know what value is the threshold. So if anyone goes beyond it, they call you, you go assess the person and then start them on medications if need be. We are trying to decentralize it. The reason I'm bringing this up is that from what you said, it takes a collective effort. This is what we are doing.
It's good.
Yeah, what role do you think individuals, civil society, and especially government can play to help improve our healthcare system?
I mean, all of us. I mean, we call it a tripod. The tripod is we, the health system, then the community with their traditional leaders, and then the politicians. Or the government side. I mean, that is the tripod. And the tripod need to work closely together to get things, because it's only when you have a tripod that you can put the pot on to cook. Yes, so it need to work in tandem. There's community resources that we can leverage. Both human, financial resource and all that, that we can leverage. And that's a bit like what you are doing, building capacity for them to take care of their health. Yes, and with the non-communicable, that's the way we need to go. We need to build capacity because it's a lifestyle disease. So we need to get them to own their health and then take care of their health and make the right choices and the right decisions. And in fact, that's one of the pillars of the CHIPS program, the Community-Based Health Plan and Services program, that is community empowerment and community participation, so that then they can take care of. Yeah, so on that side, that is it. Then we in the health side also need to take our role as, facilitators of the process. That we need to work more collaboratively with people and not like we are bringing. It is partnership.
You're not foisting it on them, but you're adding them to the decision making. This has been an interesting discussion. You've told us a lot. I want us to talk about the book. We've actually spoken a lot about the book as well. Some of the key moments and all that. But what motivated you to write A Doctor for the People?
Yeah, to tell a story. I mean, people love stories. And in fact, I used to tell bits and pieces of it. So when I told bits and pieces of it, the people said, oh, that's a good story. Why don't write it down? So it's about the 6 years of my stay in Senate District. That's what it's about. It's about my 6 years in the Senate District as a doctor. And so it's just a storybook, telling the story of what we did and why we did what we did and the challenges that we face. Yes, at least those who have read it said it's a good read.
I must admit you are a great storyteller. I started and I do not want to stop. You are a great storyteller. I don't know if it was probably because you stayed with your grandparents for 2 years at Ampana.
Yeah, telling me another stories. Exactly. They're telling me another stories.
It was a great book. It was a great one to read.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So some people feel it's not medical. It's not really a medical book. It's just a storybook that try to tell the story behind what we did and why we did what we did and the dynamic and all that. And I think for young doctors, it will be a good read. It will help you shape your mind as to what you want to do. Because what I tell people is that, I feel that our work as physicians is not a job. It's a vocation. It's a call. It's not a job. And we need to move from that mindset of job to vocation. That this is a call.
Even the current economic climate.
Yes, it is. I'm not saying you should go hungry. Because the Bible said that a laborer deserves his wages. And you do not muzzle the oxen that threshes grain. You see? So you get a drift. So it's more of your attitude to the work. You see, that is important. The attitude that you bring to the work. My dad is a great philosopher, and he used to tell me when I wanted to do medicine, I finally decided I wanted to do it. Then he asked me, is it medicine that you want or money that you want? Then I said, I want to do medicine. He said, if it's just money, then I'll show you, because I'm a co. I'll take you to Okanshi.
So you can start trading over there.
Yes, that every day you count money. But for your work, money is a byproduct.
Not the main product.
because he says that if you are a doctor and all you do is chase money, then he thinks that you are not wise.
Yeah.
Why should you waste 6 years if it's money that you want? Go to Ukanshi.
Exactly. Within those 6 years, you'd have made so much money. You learn the art of business. That's true. So we should take it as a vocation.
Yes.
That is the message that is coming from Dr. Anthony Adofo-Ofosu, Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. We are talking a doctor for the people, a book written by the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, encapsulating and telling us the story, the challenges of the Ghana health system, especially within the Senate District, and how he was able to surmount these challenges. Where and how can we get these books?
Oh, you can get copies on Amazon, Amazon.com. You can get also a Book Nook.
Okay, Book
Nook stores.
Okay.
And then you can get it also from the Ghana Health Service headquarters, either from Mabel or Fred, any of the two of them at Ghana Health Service headquarters.
Right.
And then also all the regional health directories.
Okay.
Of the Ghana Health Service, you can get copies.
Right.
Yes.
How much does a copy go for?
It go for 80 cedis.
Okay, 80 cedis.
80
right.
Cedis, yes.
If we would want your spirit of, service and humanity, I would want to see your autograph. So every time I pick the book, it reminds me of the need to provide and to serve my people without necessarily looking at money. How much would that go for?
Oh, that one is 100.
100 cedis.
Yeah,
so
but
just 20 cedis
for you,
extra.
I'll autograph one for you for gratis.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really grateful. But I think everyone deserves to get a copy of this book. And I'm not just talking about people within the healthcare space. I've actually read it, I've gone through it. And I'll say that even people outside the healthcare system, managers of various institutions, this is a must-read book. It's written in the form of a story. You definitely enjoy it. And it has nuggets of wisdom that you definitely need in this walk of life. Dr. Anthony Adofo-Ofosu, we want to say a very big thank you for making time to be with us. Just before we let leave of you, what are your final words to our listeners and also your message to our current crop of young ỌDADEƐs, our students currently in school, including Caleb, who is in Form 1?
Yeah, to all of us, wherever you find yourself,
right.
What I'll say is that make a difference.
Right.
Just make a difference. Leave the place better than you met it.
Like you left Sene.
Yes, wherever you are, brighten the corner where you are.
Right.
Make a difference.
Right.
Yes, and affect the life of people. And then, the current students, I'll say that they should apply themselves well.
Right.
They should be focused. Yeah, that they are there in the school to come out. And so they should keep the focus. It's very important. They should not be distracted. There are a lot of things that can distract you.
Right.
So they should just keep the focus.
Keep the focus and persevere. That is the message coming from Deacon Dr. Adofo-Ofosu Anthony. I nearly left out the first name. Who is the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service. He's been here with us. We've been talking The Good Doctor, a doctor for the people, learning about service to humanity, learning about sacrifice, learning about empathy from the very Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service himself, Dr. Anthony Adofo-Ofosu. Your very last words, I would want you to give us an impression of the studio, ỌDADEƐ Radio. What do you think about this studio?
I'm very impressed. I mean, yes, I've always these blue people. But you are not doing bad.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Dr. Solomon.
Yes, Bediako.
Bediako.
He actually made this possible.
Bediako and myself, he's always teasing me, and he said, contemporary people. I said, you blue. I'm very impressed. At least for you to be doing something like this. Yeah, at least your old boys, you are strong.
Right.
That's one of the things that I'll give to you. That one, you are stronger than us. So keep it up. It's quite impressive.
All right. Thank you very much. Is it something you'd want St. Peter's to also replicate?
Yeah, I wonder whether they will be able to do it.
Well,
St. Peter's guys are very anti-soap people. That's one of our problems. Too much book.
Right.
Yeah, so we really.
And that brings conclusion to the matter that Caleb Ofosu made the right decision coming to the Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, choosing the Presbyterian Boys Secondary School ahead of St. Peter's. I want to say a very big thank you to you once again. A very down-to-earth person. You don't know, this is the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, very modest. And when I asked him for an opportunity to, interview him, no qualms whatsoever. So God bless you so much for your service to humanity. This is my copy. This is my copy from Dr. Anthony Adofo-Fosu. I'm really grateful. God bless you so much. If you need copies, any of the regional health directorates, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on, I think you mentioned Book. All going for 80 cedis. Each and every person should make it a point. And the Ghana Health Service headquarters. We should get this book, not just for medical doctors, not just for nurses, not just for pharmacists, not just for people within the healthcare space, but for each and every person who wants to brighten the corner where they are. So I want to draw the curtains down to this edition. Mr. Edifiko and Mr. Zonda are executive producers. Mr. O2 is our technical producer. My co-host, Dr. Prince Samuel Nyoma, and my very self, Dr. Anafa Winigod, would want to say thank you. But just before I leave, I'd want to make mention of a quote from a doctor for the people. This is actually one that he killed from the Bible. Dr. Anthony Adofo-Fosu killed from the Bible, from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 6. It says that there are those who plowed the land, there are those who sowed the seeds, there are those who watered the plants and pruned them and fertilized the ground, and there are those who would harvest them. People like Dr. Anthony Adofo-Fosu have done the plowing, they've sowed the seeds, they've watered them, they've fertilized the ground, they've pruned the plants, and even gone ahead to harvest some of the products. This is a call to us all. Let's join hands with him and many others so they can make the Ghana health system what we expect of it. God bless you. See you same time next week. Bye-bye.
Really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow.